Hello, hello, and
Whoa.
greetings. This is our first fireside of day three. I have to commend the previous roundtable, which is very insightful. We have to agree on that. And this is just a continuum of what has been stated. And with me, I have a duo of two ladies that I really admire and what they do, but I will allow them to introduce themselves and to tell us what they do with nature, the stories they tell. They have a lot to tell us today, and I'm so excited to hear from them. I will start with the thief. Please tell us who you are, why you're here. Then over to you, Louis.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. So we are both here representing Three Otters Media, which is our joint digital media and creative content studio. I'm also here as myself. I was a very unhappy lawyer, and then a scuba diving trip inspired me to want more from life. And so, like a lot of our past panel speakers were saying, I decided in my 30s that I could do more and wanted to do more. And so I restarted, and now I'm an explorer and an ocean storyteller. So I get to go on expeditions with amazing people, tell their stories, and get people to care about this planet.
Wow, we greet you. Louis,
Hi, I'm Louise, and I am here, with Three Otters Media, and also as myself as Blue Shift Immersive. And similarly to Tiff, I've had a bit of an interesting career pathway. I started off in academic earth sciences many years ago, thanks to an obsession with volcanoes, and have kind of gone back and forth between the private sector, and then went into education as a science teacher, and then eventually found myself into the world of virtual reality for education and connecting people with the planet, and trying to share the profound relationship I have gained with the planet through having experiences that have taken me to really cool places.
well, we're here to hear about those experiences, and I love your obsession with volcanoes. And Tiff, I love your obsession with the oceans. So our fireside quote today is her immersive exploration, as you've had their buyers, the explorers, innovating new realities. And this gets me to the first question. How can immersive technologies inspire deeper connections with people and the natural world? If you can, Tiff, please start.
Sure. I think that immersive technologies can absolutely help us connect to people. I'll use myself as an example. I am the most analog person within the digital world, and learning about immersive technologies and creating them, like Louise, myself, and our friend Aya created this game about being a baby orca because we met on an orca expedition. And I have found that that game helps create what Louise calls an echo of that experience. And we get to share that over and over and over because we have this like tangible headset, this tangible little thing that we can bring around and say like, oh, just like pop this on and you can experience what we did. And when they do and they see like, oh, that's what the Arctic looks like, that's what it's like to be a baby orca, we create these connections that never would have been possible because we now have a shared experience. And that goes for everyone watching it on the screen too, right? It's not just the people playing. We create this whole room of people who have been on a digital expedition boat, even though they might never go on an actual physical one.
Yeah, I totally relate with that. I've also been having an experience whereby we created an experience in the immersive world of being an African. For those who have never been in Africa, we created an experience of being an African in a certain virtual world. Louis, please tell us your view on this. I'm very
Yeah,
curious.
I mean, just building on what Tiff has said, I think, and what I said a little bit in my intro is that I have been shaped by my experiences in nature growing up, and by the seeing wildlife and hearing birds, even if it's a pesky raven on my roof at 3 a.m. trying to fledge. And other things like this has developed in me this very profound connection with the planet that has influenced the way that I behave. And I think it's really it really made me feel how deeply important that is and how powerful it is. But I also see the privilege that we have being able to experience these things and go to these places. So what I love about immersive technology is that they get to bring people closer to that, to more people. And I also personally think that for me, like understanding like the cognitive side of planetary understanding and climate change is super important to me in terms of feeling that connection. But I also recognize that that's not always the case. So like having that, what VR and immersive technologies do is they now enable us not to just to kind of recreate that emotional connection, but also, if you want, overlay that cognitive stuff as well, if that enhances your experience of it and whatnot. And I think that's what it does. It can bring people closer, so add access, but also it can add something that sometimes real life can't do for you. And I think that's really exciting to explore.
And you mentioned something with the climate change, and it's not a new thing whereby there's human nature conflict. We have seen that happening, and it's still happening. And this throws me to the next question to you, Lois, as a follow up, and also to you, Tiff. What storytelling opportunities do virtual environments offer for driving action on global environmental challenges?
Yeah, I think, like, again, following on from what I was saying before, like, I think what we're allowed to do through storytelling in this medium is really build that really solid connection between place and problem, impacts, and then action, right? Like, we have it all together. I think one of the big issues that kind of I've been interested in these problems, particularly around climate change, for basically my entire life, like growing up the daughter of a geography teacher, right? Like, and like I was aware of these things, but what it occurs to me is that there's such a big disconnect between cause and effect. I mean, it's getting closer, as we can see from all of these fires in LA and other catastrophic events that are happening, I think, a little closer to home. But for a long time, there's been a big disconnect, both geographically and temporally, between what we are doing and what we are seeing. And I think what we can do is we can play with time, we can play with geography, we can use these tricks to really build that connection, that sense of urgency, but also follow that up with hope, right? Like in a pathway to action. And it's why for us, like, offering those calls to action like hugely important for us, that it's not just about like showing you a place. It's about, well, okay, what now? And giving you this pathway out of that experience back into your real life.
I agree. The sense of urgency. There's need for that sense of urgency. And I believe there's an AI GatherVerse hosted a summit called It's Too Late. We had that call of urgency that it's too late, guys. We need to act. So I totally agree with that. Tiff, I want to bring this to you. What skills do you think are what skills do you think are undervalued in building startups focused in environmental education and impact? And you can also add some points if you have for the previous question.
Sure. Just to the previous question, I would offer up maybe an example to help illustrate Lou's point. We're working with a coral restoration nonprofit in the Florida Keys where I live, and the Florida Reef is at its breaking point, beyond its breaking point. It's really not doing well, right? The urgency has been there, but it continues to degrade because it's a global problem, right? It's not something we can fix locally. What VR and immersive technologies can do is, and what we hope to do is take it from, we can show them what the reef was in a picture. We can show them what it is now in a dive. What VR can do is show them the impact that they can have with their own two hands if we can invest, if we can plant corals, and they can literally see a reef grow in front of their eyes. And I think no other technology has the ability to do that and really help you feel in a compressed time frame what the next 50 years might look like, right? And you can say, this coral you're going to plant today will help the reef look like this in 50 years. And you might not see it, but maybe your kids will, or your grandkids. And that's a very powerful thing to give someone, right? In 2 minutes in a headset. So I think that's like one of the very undervalued use cases for immersive technology. And then
I agree. Yeah,
And then
please go.
of skills that are undervalued in building new worlds. I think being willing to fail, right? I think especially as
Mhm.
we think we have, as the last panel said, we think we have to be perfect, and society expects us to be perfect before we put ourselves up for opportunities. And I have learned so much more in my life from things I've been willing to risk and fail. You know, like I am an ex-lawyer. I'm very proud of that ex. I failed in that profession, not because I was bad at it. I was actually excellent at it, but I hated it. It gutted me every single day. So to me, that's a failure. And learning from that and deciding my story doesn't end there is how I got to this life that I love. You know, I love being me, and I feel very authentically me every day. So I think being willing to, you know, embody a little bit more bravery, courage, and imperfection.
Yeah, totally agree. And that is very heartfelt story. That failure has led you to where you are, and you're doing very impeccable things in the ocean. I love that. Luis, do you want to add something on that?
Yeah, I think from coming from like a different side of things, because I think Tiff has talked so eloquently about kind of that side of that side of things. Like in terms of like making a good product, like that actually works in terms of environmental and educational impact. I think um, in my experience is it's kind of a bit siloed. Like people are either really focused on the environment, the education, or what often happens is the technology side. And I think what are really, really important are these non-technical skills, like the non-development things. And that's why we've had such success as a team, because we kind of have that. I mean, as Tiff said, she's analog, but she is the queen of the fields, right? Like in terms of encouraging an emotional impact and what that means, like, you know, we need that, you know, and you can't, it's not just about the coding, it's not about the technical skills, it's about having partners who have the scientific expertise in the background, so the content is really spot on. It's about having people who understand learning and design concepts that don't matter what technology you're using, they're just like good design and storytelling and all of that. You really need to have that broad base. And I think sometimes in the technology sector, and certainly like, and it binds in a little bit with kind of the female side too, because I think they're often considered feminine skills and undervalued naturally, but they're so important, and I think they're not recognized as being important as they are. And then, but at the same time, when we're trying to make money, I think that's something that I really struggle with, is that we do have to be connected with people who also know how to do that and can guide us in that, because I think we're so focused. And the reason we're in this is because we care so much about having impact, and we want the time to be able to focus that creativity on that. And that means that some of those other things can get lost. I mean, Tiff is like the ultimate hustler. I am not. I need like a lot of sleep, and and she's done such a great job. But I think, as in general, I think it's easy to forget about that when you're so driven by passion.
Wow, this is an all-rounded team. We need that feminine energy, we need that masculine energy, and everyone who has this skill set. I love that perception of all-rounded skills. To round us off, because I think we don't have that much time, although I would love to spend so much time with you because there's so much to learn. How can women build ventures that involve creativity, technology, and conservation?
How do we build these interdisciplinary environmental things that involve all these different fields? I think just like being willing to think outside the box. Don't be scared to create something new, right? Innovate a new reality. Nothing like what we're doing existed. And so we decided, let's try it. You know, we didn't know if it would succeed. And then it was awesome. And we had a good time doing it. And we found community, our team, ourselves, each other, that helped us get there. So I think women really, because we're so good at doing the community thing, we can find other people, you know, whether that's mentors or peers or people we're mentoring to help us keep going. And then we can just be brave and allow ourselves to create new things for this world.
Well, as fast as it comes, at fast as fast as it goes. It was a lovely time having you two ladies, and I'd encourage our viewers and our whole community, please go check out the Three Otters Media. I'm sure you'll love what they're doing, and I encourage you to connect with these amazing ladies. Thank you for your time. We look forward to having you